Miracle Boy Boxing, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, the one and only hosting Cruz, bringing you another exciting edition of boxing. Don't forget to hit and to like, subscribe to my channel. It's always greatly appreciated. Stay tuned. Miracle Boy Boxing, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, hosting Cruz, and guys, I want to talk to you guys about a fight that happened in the Ryan Garcia-Devin Haney fight. I've already spoken about Devin Haney versus Ryan fight, and what a tremendous battle that was, filled with drama and shocker. And a lot of things that you can't look away from. Great stuff in my last video. But I'm going to talk about one of the fights that happened on that card, and that is David Jimenez versus John Scrappy Ramirez at 115 pounds. These two guys coming in, I honestly didn't know who David Jimenez was. But eventually I found out. Coming in, the commentator was saying this should be the fight of the night on the card, and stylistically, when the bell rang, I saw why they said it. These two guys were like twins. Fighting is like they were fighting themselves, themselves. They had a similar style, and it was like looking into a mirror and just throwing punches. So David Jimenez and Scrappy Ramirez, they were fighting at a fast pace, very fast pace. It was very scrappy in there, as you would say with Scrappy Ramirez. He got the name correct because he showed that in the fight. And then the commentator was like, if John Ramirez is scrappy, David Jimenez is even more scrappier, meaning he's more rugged. But these two guys fights has a rugged style, a lot of punches. You hit me, I hit you back harder. Fast pace. So to fight any of these two guys, you got to be in tremendous top shape. And now these two guys fighting each other, man, they must have been in top shape because they were going at it from round one to the end. Especially David Jimenez, man. That gas tank of David Jimenez is legendary. I mean, this guy didn't stop throw punches at all. He worked every round. From round 1 to round 12, he worked Ramirez every minute and every second of the fight, of every round. Had body shots, headshots, uppercut, hooks, combinations, headbutts, unfortunately, because he was coming in with his head. Rough, tough fighter. And Scrappy Ramirez, he's like that as well. But Jimenez was a bit above him in terms of level when it comes to being scrappy in the ring. But all in all, man, it was a tremendous fight. It was a really rough fight. Both guys going at it, like I said, at a fast pace, rock'em sock'em, a lot of punches, and it was an even fight. It was an even fight for like maybe the first 4 or 5 rounds, and then eventually Jimenez slowly started to separate himself from Scrappy. Yes, they were still going at it. Yes, both were throwing a lot of punches, but Jimenez was getting starting to get the better of the exchanges. Scrappy was starting to get all busted up, and Jimenez just kept the pace, man. It reminded me of the fight between Julio Cesar Chavez versus Edwin El Chapo Rosario. Jimenez was, I saw Chavez. I saw a lot of Chavez in Jimenez last night against Scrappy, and I saw a lot of Chapo Rosario in Scrappy. Chavez, Jimenez, like Chavez, attacking at a relentless pace, fast pace, pressure, just pounding away on Ramirez. Like how Chavez did with Chapo. Jimenez pounding away, non-stop work, all offense, giving Ramirez no breather. Ramirez being Chapo like Chapo did, trying to fight Chavez off. And they were just tooth and nail, tit for tat. But Jimenez was just getting the better of everything and busting Ramirez up, like I said. Mouth all busted up, blooded. The only difference is he didn't have a swollen eye shut. His eye was not swollen shut like Chapo. That was the only difference. But everything was like similar. And That's what that fight reminded me of. It was like the closest thing to Chavez Chapo. Good fight, but man, Jimenez, just like Chavez, was a bit too much for Ramirez. Just like Chavez was a bit too much for Chapo. That was that fight reminded me of. Good fight, very rough and physical. But Jimenez is a guy that you do not want to mess with at 115 pounds. He just moved up. He moved up to fight Scrappy. Scrappy was number one in the WBA, number one contender to a Japanese fighter, Yoki, something like that. He's world champion in the WBA, and Scrappy Ramirez was the number one contender. Here comes David Jimenez, who was not even ranked at 115 pounds, who was coming up from 112, who was ranked number 14 by the WBO, moved up and took the challenge of Ramirez and knocked him off. And what a way. It was not a disputed decision. It was not a controversy. Jimenez went in there and did his thing, man. He worked. He let his good punches fly. The stamina, he was in tremendous shape. He never stopped throw punches. That gas tank was never run out. And Jimenez won the fight. And is now your WBA interim 115 pounds champion of the world. Now he's in line for the champion. He basically took Scrappy Ramirez's spot. So, and he's the only champion, he's the only fighter, male fighter, coming out of Costa Rica right now. So Costa Rica, like how the commentator says, it is Scrappy Ramirez versus Costa Rica. The entire Costa Rica, basically, because Ramirez is the only fighter that's represented the country. Which is a lot of pressure. Talk about pressure. But you would not think that he doesn't have any pressure on him, because Jimenez was just hungry. That was a vicious performance. Miracle with Boxing, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Wilson Cruz. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, ladies and gentlemen. It is always a pleasure to talk to you guys about boxing right here. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.